So the time right now is 6:58. I have been meaning to start this recording since around 5:10. Yeah, I have been trying to record this since around 5:10. I have been up that early and I kept procrastinating. Then a thought came to me and it was like, this is why you never get to finish most of the stuff that you start, or this is why you end up having long breaks of things that you've started and you just never get to finish them. So because the time I'm recording this, actually right now it's 6:59, I want to say good morning to all of you lovely listeners of mine. Thank you very much for listening to the first episode. I know the first episode was a bit everywhere, nothing really specific, just me, introducing myself. But I feel like for this podcast, I am going to be a little bit more organized in what I'm saying. So, hi again. Welcome to Cut the Monologue by June Robinson, yours truly. And here we are, unapologetically loud. So welcome to this second episode. And on this episode, we are going to be talking about the sad reality of life and just mid-20s crisis. I know. You're like, some of you probably are like, mid-20s crisis? What is that? Well, don't you worry. We are going to get straight into it. Also, just a little bit of side note. I noticed that I am a slow talker. I never, for the life of me, would have guessed or would have even betted on me being a slow talker. But life is full of surprises, I guess. So anyway, let's get into it. So let's start with the first portion of this segment, don't we? The sad reality. The sad reality of life after campus. I think I did mention this on the first vlog where I was like, everyone who I know has gone to campus, you usually have that plan of, when I finish campus, I want to do this and I want to do that, and I want to hang out with, you just have a plan of how maybe in the next 1 year you are going to navigate just everything and manage to be successful and get to use your degree and all of that. But it never really comes to being for the most part, I think. But, we try as hard as we can and we continue with whatever that life throws at us. So life after campus can be really, really tough, especially for those of us who do come up with plans, especially because 90% of us, I'd like to think, or maybe even 98%, that's how huge the percentage is. We don't really get to follow that plan that we were thinking of, You always think of, when I finish, I'm going to do volunteer work. And then after volunteer work, probably 3 months in, the organization is going to absorb me because I'm going to be so good at my job. And then after that, I just grow from it, and maybe I will find a thing or two on the side that I will do. But that is not the direction that things take. And it could also not necessarily be even real life after campus, because I know that some of my listeners didn't get that opportunity of joining their campuses. It could even be life after high school, or maybe you just plan on how to navigate your next year whether you have been to high school or you have further education, and they never really turn out the way they're supposed to. And I feel like that has a tendency of like driving you to start thinking of like, wait, like why is everything not working out the way it's supposed to be? Why is my plan not happening? And that usually is like the first blow of the sad reality of just how life is, I guess, because for the most part, I feel like as human beings, I guess you are conditioned to planning, especially because even like from just basic education, there is a timetable, there is a plan, there is a way things are supposed to be followed. You always wake up in the morning, and maybe your routine is wake up, say a short prayer, make your bed, take a shower, have breakfast. Or maybe your short routine is just to wake up, make your bed, take a shower, have breakfast, or or just whatever your plan is. There is always that plan. But then when the plan doesn't work out, you start freaking out. You freak out the most. And that's what brings about mid-20s crisis. Like not even mid-20s, but midlife crisis. But right now I want to focus on the crisis that we go through in our 20s. And it's so insane because it's like, why have all this pressure when you're in your 20s? Everyone is like, live your life in your 20s, have fun, do ABCD, all of that. But the truth of the matter is, you cannot relax. You cannot. No matter how much people say, relax, take everything step by step, it's always gonna work out. No, we do not take that advice. Let's not lie to each other. We do not take that advice. At least for myself, I know there was a time when I was freaking out because I was looking at how every single year I am celebrating my birthday, or how every single month it's like I am on Twitter, I'm a tweetie or whatever we call, I'm a tweet peep. And you always see the hashtag Happy New Month trending. And you're like, wow, it's a new month. You're probably trying to analyze everything that you've done the previous month. And you're just like, wow, nothing. You sit down and you try to look at what have I done that is meaningful to me for the past month. And you're like, nothing. And that's when the freaking out starts setting into you, and you're like, oh my god, the first month of the year has just gone. And you're like, January is a reset button, not gonna count it. Then February comes and goes, then March comes and goes, then April comes and goes, and by the time you know it, you are in the third quarter of the year, almost finishing it up, and 90% of the things that you said you're gonna do, you haven't done them. And part of it could be procrastination, but then the other part could be just being knocked out of your balance. And this balance is that plan that you had. And now you move on to this next part, which is like making decisions. To me, I feel like that's the hardest part about growing up. Making decisions. You never really know if whatever you're saying yes to, whatever you're saying no to, whatever you're saying hold on, I'm gonna think about it, or like you never really know if the answer that you're giving to something is the best answer, or if it's going to fuck you up like in the next week or in the next hour or in the next month or in the next years. Like you never know. I feel like that to me was the hardest thing. Like, yeah, we are raised up, but then you are raised to think in the way that your parents or your guardian or whoever it is that raised you raises you to think in the way that they think when you come to think of it. Has influenced so many of our growing up decisions. Like who you're voting for has a very high chance to be who your parent is going to vote for, or who your guardian is going to go for, or just basically whoever you're looking up to. 90% of it, yes. 10%, I know some of you have broken up from that cycle, but yes. And then your ability maybe to make a simple decision as like just a simple decision as, should I take this job? It has a lot to do with how you were brought up, because I know some people cannot take up a job in a club, not because they don't want to, but because of how they were brought up to believe that club settings are. And I feel like when you grow up and you finally get off that codependent relationship with whoever brought you up, and you start to learn that I need to make my own decisions. I need to make decisions based on my own thought process and my own feelings. I think that is the hardest part, because you're trying to break away from a cycle that you are familiar with and into a cycle that you are trying to create. You're trying to be assertive that this path that I'm taking is the right path. And to me, that just hit me so hard. It hit me so hard because it was like, the job that I want to do, I don't care what someone else says. I don't care. I'm going to do it. I'm going to live in this estate. This is the lifestyle that I want. I am going to celebrate my holidays like this. That is so hard. And just saying yes or no to things that life throws at you, that to me was major turning point. And then we look at the lessons that you pick up along the way. My biggest lesson, because it's my podcast and I am trying to speak out on my own voice, and it could be another listener's voice as well. My biggest lesson in all of this was just how insane I procrastinate stuff. You know, it's like being alone, you also have to be your own motivating factor. Like, there is my dad is not going to sit with me in the table when we're having breakfast and asking me, how far have you come along with this? Or during lunch, and he's like, how far have you come along with this? Or during supper, and he's like, how far along are you with this? I have to be my own motivator. And I came to learn that I procrastinate a lot. I mean, today I would have already been done recording this podcast. Whatever I was debating in my mind was, how do I start the podcast? I am a very planned out person. I like having a plan. But with the podcast, I decided, no, I can't plan this. I want to speak it as it comes to my mind. Do I jot down small topics? Yes. But do I want to jot down whatever I'm going to speak throughout? I don't know how many minutes. No. And I don't know why I was procrastinating. I have no valid reason. And even if you ask me what's your valid reason for not starting this podcast early, I do not have a valid reason. And that was my biggest lesson, was just I procrastinate a lot. Especially on things that I know I can be able to do. I just procrastinate a lot. And that was my biggest lesson. And hopefully now that I have identified the fact that I am a procrastinator, I am hoping that I will be able to make better decisions, you know? I don't know. What is your biggest lesson? Like, I mean, just tell me what your biggest lesson is. Drop your answers on my WhatsApp for people who have my number, on my Instagram. Like, just drop it anywhere. What is your biggest lesson? My next point on my notepad is joys. What joys have I come across? So many. So many joys. But I think I'm gonna come back to joys after I talk about mid-20s crisis. So what is mid-20s crisis? I dropped a text to some of my friends, not necessarily my close friends, but people who I usually have conversations with. Like, I don't want to use the word meaningful because we do not necessarily have meaningful conversations, but just people who I trust their opinion in certain subjects. Let me say that because there are questions that we all have, like a friend group, and we have people who we can ask question A and people who we can ask question B. So these were just a couple of my friends who I could ask this question, and I want to read out some of their comments so that we can actually see like what their midlife crisis was. So my question was, and I'm gonna read it like verbatim how I sent them the text. This was actually on WhatsApp, and it was, "Hi there, I hope you're good. I don't know why I love saying good. I honestly do not know. So on next week's episode of Cut the Monologue, I am focusing on mid-20s crisis, and I would love to hear your take on it. Have you experienced it? Are you experiencing it? What was the major cause of it, and how did you get through it?" That is, if you have managed to get through it. So I'm not gonna call out my friend's name, but I'm just gonna talk their responses. So this is the first one. I'm choosing them at random. Said, "I have," and cause comparing myself to my peers, trying to keep up with whatever they have achieved too, getting through it. How I got through it. I'd say I had to slow down and realize I had my own race to run and not compete with other people's achievements. Took a lot of evaluation and self-assurance to get by. At one point, when I was in campus, I was seriously depressed. I never told anybody about it. So for this friend of mine, his mid-20s crisis, was brought about by like comparing himself to others, feeling like other people were maybe like achieving more than what he did. And I feel like that is a major response. I feel like most of my friends who I asked, they were really like just saying that for most of them, they did go through midlife crisis at this due to like comparing themselves with others. And so here is my next response from another good friend of mine, and she said, I think everyone has or is undergoing it, from searching for love, feeling of regrets from past experiences, anxiety about the future, doubtful if you're doing the right thing, and even depressive episodes. I could not agree with her more. Let's talk about the whole searching for love. When you get to a certain age in your 20s, most of the people you went to either high school with or even campus, they start getting married and they start like having a family. And you will find that you are I don't want to say you're the unlucky one. You'll find that you are the one who probably doesn't have a stable relationship. You constantly keep thinking that the person you are intimate with is the right one, but then a few months in or a few years in, you realize that no, I don't want to do this. And you get into Facebook, especially I'm using Facebook. We all know Facebook is the OG social media platforms, and everyone is on Facebook, at least for my age bracket. Yeah. And you get in on Facebook and you're seeing like they posting, a second baby bump, or someone has finally gone social media public with their relationship, and you see that update of is in a relationship with and you just, they are writing congratulatory messages. It can tend to make someone get into that midlife crisis, and in this situation you're getting into a midlife crisis due to like searching for love. You feel like, at my age, in this 20-year age, I should be with someone stable. We all know the story that goes around the streets, that by the time you're 30 and you have not maybe found someone, it's going to be really hard to find someone to settle down with. And I feel like that thought has been drilled in so many of our brains, that we are in this rush to get someone. We are in this rush to feel as if whoever we are associating ourselves with is meaningful. No. Get that out of your mind. No. Love can happen in your 40s. There is no deadline for falling in love. There is no beginning line for falling in love. Love can happen in your 40s. Love can happen in your 50s. Don't stress about it. Especially I know for us females, that pressure is usually there, like, and I don't know why. And it gets annoying, especially when you are in your friend group and you're with maybe younger girls. It's like, let me say for instance, in a work environment, you are never really the same age. You're usually like different ages, and you find that there are people who are younger than you, and there are people who are older than you, and then there are people who are in the same age bracket as you. And maybe some of them are in a serious relationship, some of them could have been married, some of them could probably have already had kids. And they are the ones who are inflicting the pressure on you. They're like, when are you planning on having a baby? Or, ni baby shower ya so and so. Wewe yako unapanga lini? It's like, stop with the questions. Stop with the questions. You are doing more harm than good. And whether you know it or you do not, stop with the questions. This person probably has like 10 more other things that are stressing her, and you asking her about such a question is even making it worse. Like, stop questioning this person. If she does not bring it up, you have no right to bring it up. Like, stop. Do not ask it. None of your business. Okay? So On my next person who answered me this was another friend of mine, and she was like, so at first she did not know what mid-20s crisis is. Oh, bless her soul. And then she asked me what, like, to explain it to her, and I told her, like, at your 20s we all have plans. This was me explaining it to her because she had no idea. I'm telling you, bless her soul. Like, at your 20s we all have plans. Did you ever get to a point where you were like, things are not adding up? And she was like, they never add up. Laughing emoji. You plan, then things don't go as planned. And she was like, I thought nitakuwa na job sahi na hata internship yenyewe kupata bala. People who promised to hold your hand once you were done with school go missing and ignore you. I'm gonna get back to her. Let me finish her response. Then she says, not that I believed they will come through, but you keep trying where you can. There were things I thought they were important nikiwa back in school, but now that I'm in the real world, kuna vitu zingine si important. Bora uhai na good health. Nilikuwa na expectations, but I hope I'm saying it correctly. But life humbles you. People, I want to go back to this line. People who promise to hold your hand once you are done with school go missing and ignore you. If I had a crowd, I would have gone, can I get an amen? I am telling you. Why do people find it necessary to tell you that when you finish school, give me a call? Why? Why do you guys do that? Is there a gun held to your head that tells you that you must tell this person this? Why do you do it? Why? I need to understand, why do people tell us this? I don't want you to tell me this. I don't want you to tell me this, because when you tell me this, you are giving me hope. You are making me put you in my plan. You are making me have hope that I have someone. And the problem is that we believe in this phrase. Ukimaliza shule, give me a call. We believe so much in this phrase because it is like a glimmer of hope. It is like, oh my God, yes, I have one step inside the room. Like, I have a step inside, now it's just pulling the other leg and finally getting through the door. Stop telling us this. Because once we are done with school, I kid you not, we are going to call you. We are going to give you a call. We are going to send you an email. We are going to edit our CVs and send them to you. We are going to drop you a text. And when you do not live up to that promise, it's like, oh my God. The damage that someone just has to come out of. Stop. No one has a gun to your head and is forcing you to give us that phrase. Please stop. If you are a listener on this, please stop. Stop telling us that. It's not necessary. It's not important. We no longer care about it. Like, if I am telling you that I am finishing school, just tell me congratulations. Like, done. The other part of give me a call when you're officially done is not necessary. Stop. Period. I have nothing more to add to it. Then she said, there were things I thought were important when you were back in school, but now that I'm in the real world, so I believe everyone understands what we say by when I'm in the real world, because in school there's usually just like you're usually like in a bubble. For most of us who go to uni, I do understand that some people in uni, they fend for themselves, they take themselves to school, they pay their own school fees, but for the most people, all of these things are done to them. The only thing that you have to do is go to class, study, do your exams, done. So when she says in the real world, she says when I now leave school and I come outside and I have to do all these things for myself, kuna vitu zingine si important, bora uhai and good health. This is where I go back to my part of like making decisions. Like for myself, oh my god, this even sounds like crazy in my head. For me, I'm so redundant. For me, I remember I really wanted to go back and do my master's degree. I was like, I'll finish school, I'll get an internship, I'll finally be picked, I'll do the internship for 2-3 years, and then I'll go back and do my master's, and that will just make me more valuable in the market. I finished campus in June of 2019. We are in the August 2022, the 29th day of August, and I can tell you for a fact that right now, thinking about going back to school to do my master's is not even, like right now when I think about it, it's not even in my 2-year plan. Like it's nowhere. Does that mean that I have completely erased the thought of going back to school? No, I have not, but it's not a priority right now the way it was. For some people, it could be marriage. They maybe thought that in the next 3 years they would be married, but you face a couple of realities and you're like, no, it's not a must. I don't have to do it. Some people maybe wanted to have kids, but right now they're like, I don't want kids, and it goes back to like making decisions. To me, is a sad reality that most of us are not prepared for. We are not prepared for making decisions. Nada. And I also think it comes about from just how African our parents are. Like I feel like I don't really know if I should attach the word African to how our parents raised us, but I am going to attach it. We all know that you could not make decisions without calling your parent or whoever it is that raised you, or whoever it is whose opinion you really cared about. If it was like going to high school, you'd all be like, oh, what high school should I pick? And your parents would be there like, pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it was like choosing maybe a course in campus, it would be like, oh, pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was like maybe moving to a different city to be like, oh, pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when you are finally in that space where you're like, no, I don't want my parents to help me anymore, you suddenly realize how hard making decisions is. And that is just insane. So mid-20s, I keep referring it to as midlife. So I feel like midlife crisis in your 20s is so real. Let me tell you. So I dropped the same question on my Reddit. I am a Redditor. I dropped another question on Reddit, and total strangers. They do not know me. So my question on Reddit was, have you experienced mid-20s crisis? What was the cause of it, and how did you get through it? Period. So I had a total of 2.1k views, 100% upvote rate, woo-hoo, and 5 people shared my question, which is nice. I mean, we all like having I just wanted to make it as interactive as possible. And someone said, sure. I had plenty of those, especially when I was 24/25. Mine was transitioning from school to work environment and moving out of my folks. It was a scary, uncertain time for me. I got through it because I was really determined, and I got a lot of support from my family and friends. A little help does go a long way. And that's where it takes me back to the people who always say, when you finish school, give me a call. And then when you finish school and you give them a call, they do not pick up. You give us a lot of hope, because we all know how when you get that little nudge or that little push, how much that helps. It really comes in handy. And when you do not do that, you are helping this person get more damaged, other than if you had not promised this person this thing in the first place. Because if you didn't promise this person, then you would not be in that person's plan. So I really, really like the fact that my thoughts are also like being communicated by just asking some people the questions and getting that they actually think the same thing. Another person said, be me. Have your mid-20s crisis in your teens. I think these are just the type of people who like throwing in a little bit of joke when you are like talking about something so that it doesn't get serious. And then he was like, spear drum that game. And I was like, that will no longer count as mid-20s crisis. And I don't know if it's a he or she. People on Reddit use really funny names. And he was like, if you have 20 of them. That was just like a light joke. And another said, it's a bitch. Yep, that's one way to put it. Dealing with the realities of life after school, finding out everything they told you about growing up was highly glamorized. Oh, highly glamorized. You can say that again. Also, at the same time, maybe you're trying to find your purpose in life outside of the obvious, like who you are in the world and all. So, how many people were told, especially for those of us who went to boarding school, that you need to wake up now? Because I feel like every Kenyan boarding school, people wake up at 4 a.m. and you're in class by 4:30. I think. I'm not sure. At least that was the case in my high school. And the teacher who does the roll call says, you better wake up now, because when you're out of this place, you're no longer going to wake up. And it's like, why are you people glamorizing this? Say it as it is. And then when you come out, you realize you still have to wake up early. For me, at least, to be able to manage my commute, I need to be out of the house by exactly 8. So that means I need to wake up way earlier so that I can prep myself, have my breakfast calmly, so that when I get out of the house, I don't feel like vomiting it all out. And so that I can leave the house not in a rush, so that I also don't end up forgetting a few 1, 2, 3s that I might actually need in my workplace. It was insane. And the thought of you're done with exams in school. I feel like in a week, there is a test that life throws at you. You know, like, oh, you're too relaxing. Have you revised enough? Here is a test. I feel like every week there's just a test that life throws at you. It could be how to handle someone in your contact list, how to handle a friend, how to handle someone at your workplace, how to say no to certain things. Like, I feel like life just throws a test at you. It's like, tada, like a sprinkle of salt here. And then, also, the person's other line was also at the same time, maybe you're trying to find your purpose in life outside of the obvious. I feel like the obvious is go to school, finish, go to work, get a good job, climb the ladders of that work, and when you get to a certain point, get married, have kids, and live your life paying bills forever after. The end. That is the obvious people, and woohoo, is it sad? And there was this other one who said pre-20s crisis. I feel like it does exist, but I don't want to talk about it because I personally don't think I went through pre-20s crisis. So it's really hard to talk about something that I've not gone through. So yeah. Someone else said going through that right now, nakwambia hii kitu ni stress tupu, maisha sahi haina mwelekeo, just hoping for the best and wishing that it will be over soon. I'm hoping for the best for you too. I am really hoping for the best for you too, because mid-20s crisis can be such a bitch. That is for like, just for real, it can be such a bitch. Someone said mine hot in 4.1. I don't understand that first line. Anyway, goes on to say, all my life I knew I would move from primary school to secondary school, then university. I'm almost graduating, and I'm like, what's next now? Kupata attachment ilikuwa ngumu. I was wondering job itakuwaje. So here's the thing. When I finished campus, we had a sit down with some of our lecturers, and it was actually a friend of mine from campus idea, and he said, I feel like we should sit down with our lecturers so that they can like maybe give us their final words. And from that sit down, I think it helped me to calm some parts of my mid-20s crisis. I really do think so. Because in the sit down, they were honest to us. They told us things like, because in my class, we were only 39. We were only 39 people in my class. And they said, you may seem 39, but maybe there are 39 other people in other universities, and maybe they are 40. And there are those who previously graduated, and there are usually 2 graduation sessions in almost all public universities. And they were like, probably you are going to graduate 10,000 of you. They told us for a fact there's no way there can be a 10,000 people opening for a job. And they were like, some of you are never ever even going to end up doing a job for whatever it is that you have studied. They were just like honest. They were not brutally honest, because I believe honesty does not have to be brutal. And if you think that honesty has to be brutal, you need to seek therapy. Very sorry, but yes, you do. Honesty does not have to be brutal. And they were really honest with us. I feel like having that sit down with them was really helpful. Really was, at least to me. I don't know how my other course-mates are going through, but yeah. Oh, here we have another one who didn't know what mid-20s crisis is. Wow, lucky you. So the last commenter was, I am currently going through it now, and boy does it suck. I am done with campus, but it's been a hassle getting a job. Every day I wake up dreading to get to 24, which I'm almost, while still jobless, broke, and living with my parents. I don't even speak with my friends nowadays because I don't want them to see how miserable I am. And then, in true Kenyan fashion, laughing emoji. Anyway, Sini life, laugh emoji. I actually, from most of the responses that I got, I feel like a lot of us who undergo the midlife crisis, mid-20s crisis, we usually have gone to further education. Is it further education? Is that the correct English? You guys are gonna forgive me. I have been talking a lot. We have either gone through university or we have gone through just training outside of high school. And I feel like it is so because society naturally will expect you as a university graduate, as a college graduate, as a tertiary institution graduate to offer more, to just bring more. And it's not necessarily even society. To you as an individual, you see yourself and you see that you have gained more knowledge than maybe the other people who didn't go to further their education, and it kind of really gives you that pressure of being the best in the society. And when you come out of these learning institutions, you find that is not the case. When you come out, it's a level ground. For most of us, it is a level ground, and you again have to start fighting from the bottom and finding your way up. And it really sucks, but that is just how it is, you know? Just take it easy. Take it easy. Have moments, have sessions where you can sit down and breathe. Have moments where you can just lay down or just whatever and breathe. I am hoping that this podcast shows you that you are not alone. We are many of us who are going through this midlife crisis. Some of us have loans and we don't even know how we are going to start paying them. And maybe the life didn't take the path that you imagined it would, but it is on a path. Believe that it is on a path. And identify what your biggest weakness is. I remember somewhere at the beginning of the podcast, I told you guys that I identified that my biggest weakness was procrastinating, and I procrastinate a lot. And hoping that since I have identified it, I am able to work through it. Identify. Make it a point to identify what your weakness is. It might take you months, it might take you years. But I feel like once you get to know that, you have at least a stepping stone on how to solve it. But take your time, breathe in, enjoy life, live it. You know, I never liked the phrase, you only live once. You lived yesterday, you lived today. To me, that is not once. You lived the previous day. To me, that is not once. To me, you only die once. Because scientific theories of whether we do get reincarnated or not, or or whether we do time travel or not have not yet been proven. So we are going to stick with you only die once. And make the best of it. But take your time. Midlife crisis, mid-20s crisis is a bitch. It drives you into just early depression that you probably had no business getting. But I know the pressure will be there. The pressure will be there. I'm not going to tell you that it's not going to be there. No, it will be there. You just have to learn how to handle the pressure, and look for the joys. My joy is that I am able to discover new aspects of myself. I'm able, at least on a bi-monthly basis or on a 3-month basis, I am discovering a new aspect of myself that I did not know. It scares me at times, yes, because when I discover this new aspect, I do not know if I am finding myself more or if I am losing myself more, but I'm going to look at it as a joy and be happy about it. I had a whole lot to talk about in this episode, but I think I will end it at that. I will find a way of mixing up the other points with every other thing on the other episode, but I want to end this episode here. I want to thank you all who have listened to the end. I'm hoping everyone has listened to the end. I'm hoping I haven't bored anyone, especially because I know I am a slow talker, and I hope you have picked a thing or two from the podcast, from the episode. Until next time, I am yours truly, June Robinson, on Cut the Monologue episode 2, and you all know that here we always keep it unapologetically loud. So thank you all very, very much for listening to me. Oh my god, 52 minutes. Okay, I am done. Goodbye guys. Ciao. I love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.